Welcome everybody to my weekday chess stream here. Streaming on Twitch. My name on Twitch is Slaggy. Streaming and playing on LeeChess.org or Sparklehorse on LeeChess.org. My real name is International Master William Paschall. Originally from the United States. We've lived in Budapest since 2004. We're streaming from there. Let's play some Blitz and Classical here with commentary. I'm going to play mostly players who are challenging me from the stream. Got one challenge already. Here early is Keister, rated 1772. Sounds like 1772. What happened in 1772? It sounds like a historical year, but I'm not really sure. Alright. I'll give you guys a minute to get your stuff together and we're going to get started. Let's get this game started with Keister here. Happen to cow this. We have some regular players who usually greet me on the stream. But I guess summer holidays are coming up. People are going on vacation and whatnot. Can't really count on the same players. Let's play d4. Good luck, Keister. Haven't seen you for a little while here on the stream. Alright. I'm playing some d4. I'm a little bit bored with c4, knight f3. I feel like I don't really get that much space. That's a take back. If this was a rated game, I'd probably... Well, I wouldn't give you a take back if it was a rated game. Not on the stream. The other day I played somebody a rated game here on LeeChess, just when I wasn't streaming, and they lost a piece and asked for a take back. I'm giving take backs because, you know, the purpose of the stream is really to educate and teach you guys and to put on a good show here. I'm not normally giving takebacks in like private rated games, but because most people just accept that takebacks aren't really a part of chess. But if it's an unrated game or if it's on the stream here, then I am going to grant takebacks. But obviously if it's a total mouse slip like g5 or something like that, I would think that even in a rated game, you should kind of give somebody, if it's a clear mouse slip, you should give somebody a take back. I do make exceptions for things like that. There's a lot of people who don't, and I can understand. If you have a rule, you have a rule. You don't give take backs, you don't give take back. I can accept that. Then I would just resign, you know. Anyway, alright guys, so the Grunfeld, and you guys that have been watching me here may or may not realize I never played much d4 since I've been streaming, mostly c4, knight f3, and so we're going back in time a little bit to a time when I played kind of sharp stuff with d4. What's up, Casey Braden? Welcome to the stream. So I was avoiding a lot of theoretical discussions by playing knight f3 and c4 mostly because I had a tournament I wanted to play in, which I completed a couple weeks ago. But if I have my way, you know, if I have my druthers, as they say, I prefer to play d4 or e4 because you really get like a lasting space advantage when you play d4 or e4. You can't get that by playing the English opening or knight f3. This knight b6 here by Keister, it's a very, very dangerous move for black. I guess you'd call it like a neo-Grunfeld or something, but it's really closer to like a Scandinavian, but it's actually, I guess it's actually like inferior to even the Scandinavian, but playable. It is remotely playable. I think I saw Ron Henley play this once, maybe years and years ago, but it's pretty risky for black. I mean, it doesn't really make sense to avoid exchanges of pieces when you have less space. Emre Baskokak, he said, "Hi there, good morning everyone." Good morning. We have knight b6, guys. This is not my favorite square for knights, you know. b3, b6, g3, g6 for the beginners that are watching the stream. Guys, these squares are not as good as squares like f3 and f6 and c6 and c3. The knight on the knight, what we call the old days descriptive notation, the knight 3 square is not a piece that, you know, is as powerful as the knight in the center. So this square is really dubious for black. I've seen people play this opening, but I couldn't imagine playing this knight b6 unless you were playing like a really weak player and you desperately wanted to keep all the pieces on the board to avoid trading. There are some openings like the Alekhines defense where you have no choice. You play like e4, knight f6, e5, knight d5, c4. Well, there's nothing to exchange, so you have to put the knight on b6 in that situation. You're provoking white to overextend themselves. But when I play e4 here, black can take on c3 and then attack the center. 128. Move 11. Hey, you're watching a stream via Lichess for the first time. Wow, username consistency, good. Move 11, I didn't realize that you had been watching the stream via Twitch before. Well, that's interesting. So you were challenging me like on Lichess while watching on Twitch. Yeah, I guess 90% of the players here are viewing via Twitch. I mean via Lichess. Guys, for those of you from the US, in 2 weeks I'm going to be going to the US to live there for the summer for 2 months. So you're going to get the special bonus of getting to watch my stream at a normal hour. Okay, so c6, you know, it's not a bad move in the fact that it helps to control the center a little bit, but it's very passive for black. Again, although in this case, I think it's too late maybe to play something like knight c6 because white plays d5 and it's hard for black to put enough pressure on the center. There is a very risky plan that black can go for. Now, I'm not condoning it now, but the only way I can see this whole knight b6 thing working out is if black can find a way to make like f5 work, some kind of very aggressive attack against the white center. But, you know, obviously it's hard to make that work because the black king will be very vulnerable. So, you know, in some instances this move might provide black with counterplay, but it's extremely risky. So the downsides probably outweigh any kind of benefits of that move. But otherwise it's impossible for black to really attack white's center. And that's the problem with the setup with knight b6. So 128 is the same. He's watching via Twitch, but he uses Lichess. Okay, so bishop e6, yeah, I've had, like, occasionally had games similar to this one. And sometimes black, you know, can exchange pieces with bishop c4. Also, he maybe slows me down. If I play, like, bishop e3, he can play knight c4. So controlling the square is a valid idea, I think, for black here. One idea that often pops up in these kind of positions is like attacking the knight on b6. But as I've talked about earlier, you know, when a piece is on a bad square, I'm not sure. It's nice to gain space, but this wouldn't be my first choice of plans. Probably developing would be, I would think, you know, the main thing. Bishop f4 looks like a reasonable developing move. Rook e1, a little bit slow. I'm going to go with bishop g5 is also like provoking black to maybe weaken his king side. Interesting move. Let's try it. Maybe I'll regret this. But we do pressure e7. I think bishop f4 is fine as well, or even rook e1, and even a4, just grabbing space. But as I said many times, I don't really like attacking pieces that are in bad positions. I have no reason to attack this knight on b6. I like it where it is, but there is the argument that I'm just simply gaining space with a4, a5, kind of like developing my rook from its original square. So So bishop g5, a lot of players would be reticent to do this, but you know, there's an argument that h6 actually weakens black's position rather than strengthens it. My other idea is that if he plays h6, I play bishop f4. And one idea would be to play like bishop e5 to actually trade off his only kingside defender with bishop e5, or maybe force him to play the very awkward move f6. Now, obviously, if he plays h6 and then later f6, his whole kingside pawns are extremely weak. On tablet, you didn't know you could watch through Lichess. Yeah, you guys might discover the stream different ways. Most of you guys are playing on Lichess to begin with. Some people might be looking for chess on Twitch and find it there. You guys can also check my videos on YouTube, Video Chess Training. Over there, today or tomorrow, we're going to put up another weekly video. He did f5 now, and I like this now. He's guarded this diagonal, and at the same time, my knight can't go to g5. So I think this is well-timed, Keister. Very, very well-timed move by black. So I think it's time for me to make a decision here. I mean, e5 gains space. It's certainly good. It looks like some kind of French. Also playable are takes f5 and maybe just keeping the tension with something like queen to c1. Queen c1. Let's do that. I mean, I'm really neutral here. This pawn, I mean, you can have it if you want, but I mean, giving up your dark squared bishop looks really suicidal in this kind of position. All the other moves are playable. Takes an f5. I thought maybe his rook comes up. So one of the ideas is like rook d1. I'm not sure it's so great for me. The rook is kind of dead there, actually. But the problem was I didn't want to play queen d2. This is a more normal move, but it would walk into knight c4. Although that wouldn't really be a big deal. I could probably just trade my bishop in this position. So perhaps queen c1 is too fancy. I should just play queen d2 and like let him play knight c4, chop it off, and then play like rook e1. And although he has the bishop pair, he has a lot of weaknesses in his position, so white is clearly better. I mean, the bishop pair is just one factor that isn't really that relevant here. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining me here on my stream. We've got another week and a half, basically, and then we're going to take a few days off, move to the Boston area, and stream from the U.S. I think early evening will be streaming, maybe four days a week, early evening, USA, Eastern Time. Keister, clock problema. You got a clock problema. Alien Summer. Calidus, what's up, man? I didn't even see your hi there. Tirastaya and Ghostmine. Ghostmine, we didn't get to his challenge last game yesterday. Queen c7. Well, this gives me a pretty free hand, I would think. Trading the defender. This is the only piece that's really defending, plus the g5 square. Okay, now I have to be careful. He's got e takes f3. So I probably need to take this back here. And white is better. Far from winning, but another is Zwischenzug. But now bishop e4. If bishop takes g7, bishop takes e4, I win the exchange. So take this guy. We've got 4 pieces that could do some damage to his king, but no real direct. I don't see any real direct way to get in there. Knight c5, knight d7. So I guess knight g3 we avoid exchanges. And he trade. This is a wise decision, Keister. Trades. Ooh, I don't like that though. I mean, yeah, positionally it's a good exchange sacrifice. But it seems like it's a little over the top. Maybe it's good. I don't think it was necessary. But okay. Okay, I mean, it's a reasonable positional exchange sacrifice. Although I have Queen G5 here. I think we need to strike while the iron is hot. If I wait one more move, black's gonna get organized. And both knight h5, knight f5 are interesting possibilities here. I don't see anything directly. Knight h5, knight f5, knight h5 and knight f4 we might get. We can hold off one move. Play, can we? Rook e1. Also f4, f5 is an idea. Undoubling the pawns. f4, f5. It's kind of slow though. Knight f8. That feels kind of passive. So I can trade queens into a winning ending here. But I like just trading pawns. Yeah. So he's hanging on, but I don't know if I should trade queens here. Seems better to avoid the exchange of queens. This one was too tough for Keister to hang in there. I like reasonable exchange sacrifice, I guess, but it's a whole exchange, and I didn't think it was really absolutely necessary. Alright guys, 7 challenges. Yeah, I'm going to just call it Alien Summer. Calidus. Let's see what's up. 7-3. You guys can challenge me to rated or casual. I don't really care, just as long as I realize what it is before we start. Unless you're provisional. If you have a provisional rating, like Alien Summer here, I'm not going to play... Here I play Knight F3, alright. I'm not going to play rated with provisionals. For how many more games will we have you around today? Well, I play until 12:30, guys. So if the average game is like 10 minutes, then it's about 10 or 12 games. Does passive mean bad or an opportunity to be taken advantage of? Passive means too conservative. It means what it is. It's not about a concrete opportunity. Passive just passive. I just mean it's not aggressive enough. Maybe I should play c4 there. DST says, teach me how to become an IM, and I will teach you how to win 390 hyperbolic games in a row. Did you really do that? Can that be taught? Knight d7. Well, I guess I just go c4 here. Since he hasn't played c6, there are various ways for me to regain this pawn. It's not really a question. And actually, this kind of move order with the early knight d7, I don't mind exchanging on d5 because his knight doesn't have a good square c6 where it's ideally placed. Now the question is, do we want to play a structure with d3 or a structure with d4? d3 is a little bit more dynamic, but we don't have to decide right away. I'll play knight c3 first. Admittedly, it is symmetrical, so it's not the most dynamic position in the world, but there are a couple little like problems with black's position. I mean, the knight is passive on d7, and the bishop on f5 could potentially be targeted and captured by a knight when white can play with advantage of the two bishops. We could start thinking about that soon. 393 wins in a row. Okay, that's like, dude. My only question is, DST, who are you playing? You know what I mean? You're obviously like cherry picking your opponents or something, because I don't know, man. That's a lot of wins. You're only playing under 1,000, or how do you do that exactly? That's hard to believe. A6. Good move, I guess. Keeping me off of B5. He's got a consistent pawn structure on the white squares. Okay, I don't think it's absolutely necessary to play A6, but it's not a bad move. And what am I to do? Play for E4, possibly. I don't really know, guys. Queen B3 could be a good move. So then he has Queen B6. Perhaps we'll play like a developing move first. Bishop E3. I'm not sure about this. Of course, if he does some move like Knight G4, that's okay. I can just go back and leave his knight hanging out to dry there. A win is a win no matter who your opponent is. Okay. Rook C8 now, and I was thinking Queen B3, but this is pretty artificial actually. He's got Knight C5 there, although I win a pawn in that line. Yeah, it's artificial is fine. I'm winning a pawn, then it's okay. Pawn is a pawn no matter how you win it. Right, DST? It's what, a totally new account? Alien Summer first game or something? 11 games. Just keep scholar mating 800s. Well, I don't know, man. We don't. Life is short, so I'm gonna try to make the most of my time. Queen C7. Now I oppose the C file. I suppose. Supposed to oppose. This guy is double protected, so we can discover on the queen on C7. Alien Summer playing quickly. I feel like I need an extra coffee or something. Now Queen B8. This is pretty subtle play by Alien Summer. Provisional. Knight BD7, Rook C8, Queen C7, Queen B8. Again, we talk about passive but solid. I don't know what to do now. No concept. Maybe we try to take the C file over. Knight A4. The problem is, if I do that, we could also try maybe Bishop F4. Let's try this. Something about black's position. I mean, he's not castled. His king is in the center. He's making all these moves on the queen side very quickly, but this is, I'm fully developed and my king is castled and you're not, your rooks are not connected. Looks like black is asking for trouble. Just not completing kingside development. Free trade agreement. Do you think I am an alt.account account or something? I think that 90% of my opponents seem like non-alt accounts. That's what I think. Free trade agreement. It's not exclusive to you. It's just too easy for everybody to make multiple accounts here on Lichess. Knight c5, queen b6. Queen b6. This looks dangerous for black. Not sure what my plan is. You guys notice there are no chess streamers from Europe at this time? Well, it's early, guys. I mean, not too many people want to do what I do, you know, and get up every day and stream in the morning, you know. But I, honestly, this loses a rook. Honestly, I explain this to everybody who's watched the stream regularly. In the last 6 years, I was playing poker full-time, and I would often play in the morning because I just feel fresh and my mind is really clear. And so it wasn't the best time to play from profitability perspective, but I really feel like my brain is clear and I really function mentally best in the morning. So I just continued the same kind of schedule here, chess streaming. Plus it's quiet, I can concentrate. But again, as in the poker, it's not the best time in terms of like having the most players or playing the strongest possible players. So when I'm streaming from the US, I think, you know, it will be kind of interesting because I'll be playing more like evening prime time, so to speak, you know, and I think prime time is going to mean like more streamers. So maybe my audience will be smaller because it'll be split up between like different streamers. But let's try something different, Calidus. But again, at the same time, we're going to probably get like lots of good players to play, more strong players to play, perhaps. Although I have to say that we have pretty strong players as it is. It's the dedicated players that are here in the morning, so maybe it doesn't really apply as much as it does in poker, that the stronger players are playing in the evening. Actually, in poker, we had a lot of strong players in the morning too. So I guess the strong players thing is not really necessarily true. More players in the evening, not necessarily stronger players, but more players. We've got serious players here. Calidus g3. So we're just going to transpose to a King's Indian, I guess. What if I play an early e5 here? Would that be a bad ending for me? Probably. Interesting one. There's a player on the site who won 674 games in a row in blitz. Scrub-a-dub-dub. Okay, yeah, that's pretty disturbing. And it's still like not accused of being a computer. I do recall seeing that. I think I recall seeing that name. It's never had its like account banned for computer assistance or anything, right? 674 and 1 seems legit. Yeah, that's standard. What is your expected result like if you're, say, 2200 against like a 1000 player? Like, wouldn't they like win maybe like, I don't know, 0.5% of the time or something? Seems reasonable, right? So that's a little suspicious. I could see in Bullet, like in Bullet it might be easier because the flag is so important. Whereas in Blitz it starts to become more suspicious to me because you can't just simply flag every game in Blitz. You really have to like not blunder. You know, I mean, whatever, man. It looks a little fishy. So I'm going this ending. it's a little weird with white having played g3, but it should be fine for black. Now, how to defend this pawn? I have bishop e4 check, and I could play something like rook e8 if I had to. But bishop e4 check might just simply help white develop. I'm not sure the best way to defend the pawn. I mean, maybe we'll save bishop e4 check for later. I hate playing knight c6 though, because I really want to play c6 and probably put my king on c7. Knight fd7, knight g4, knight bd7. All these moves are sort of concessions. Maybe bishop e4 check is the best move. Let's try it. This is purely experimental position, guys. I just thought, I play a lot of these endings where white plays, for example, d4, knight f6, c4, d6, knight c3, e5, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, queen takes d8, and then king takes d8. This is a little different, but I just don't think that g3 should be all that much of an improvement for white. Now I get my bad bishop outside the pawn chain. Bishop d2, that's best. My pawn's just hanging. Yeah, this looks like I have to be very careful here. Bishop takes b2 check. White's better. He's going to be able to develop. He's going to be able to develop quickly here, and I have to be really careful. So, rook e8. We should be able to creep away with c6 and king c7. Unless I miss something. Taking my chances with this funky setup, though. Sladge, you just drink coffee after dinner and you can play and stream at midnight. Yeah, the problem is then I can't go to sleep. Yeah, I know. I know, dude. It's fine. When I used to play poker in the evenings, I would do that kind of thing, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep till 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm very sensitive to caffeine. The Nairobi Chess Club meets a 5-minute walk from my hotel. What luck. Nairobi, you're in Kenya? Shevaningan up early today. Rook takes 6-8 medic. Nazgul RW said, good morning, so poker died or you got sick of it? Well, no, I never got sick of it. I love poker and I still play live. But it's kind of a combination of factors. My results weren't very good in the last 2 years online. I felt like my account was sort of like cursed or something. And then the fact that I just didn't want to give up chess completely, I just had to make a decision. Basically, in the last 10 years, last 8 years, my life was like, not my life, but my work was like 80% poker and 20% chess. And I'm turning it the other way now so that it's like 80% chess and 20% poker. I don't really like what happened with Poker Stars and the new company that took over there. So that's the only good site to play on online. It's like a complete, first of all, the economy of online chess is a disaster. There's a complete monopoly where one company controls online chess or poker, and then they start mistreating the VIP players and stuff. So it's a disaster. The online poker economy is kind of a disaster. So I was getting sick of it and fed up with it, and it's getting harder and harder, and it seemed like this is my last chance to really, at my age, it's my last chance if I want to become a strong player. If I ever want to become a GM or something, it's really my last chance. You know, if I want to do it in the next 5 or 6 or 7 years, I think legitimately it's my last chance, you know, to become a really strong player. So you got to make a decision. And I've never really done well splitting my attention between two things. It's either one thing or another thing, and I really focus on it and just do it completely. So this is the point here, rook e7. I thought we're holding everything with the idea of maybe c6. I'm having second thoughts about this c6 now, though. Having played rook e7, maybe it's best to just walk away over here to e8 and not to weaken my my dark squares on d6. Did you play PokerStars Caribbean Adventure? No, I never played the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. No, never. Never really tried to qualify. I don't think I ever played a satellite to that tournament. I just played some European tournaments. So I would have liked to have played Caribbean Adventure. I guess I did play some satellites, but I always, like when I would win, I remember once there was like a $700 satellite to a $700 satellite. There was like satellite to a $700 satellite for the Caribbean Adventure, and we were like four-handed with FU15, who was a really good player, and somebody else, and he just eliminated everybody. It was really funny because I was pretty short-stacked, and he's just a huge pro. So there were two places to the $700 satellite, and I just remember that distinctly because FU15 was just like knocking everybody out, and I just sat there and just collected my $700 satellite without even having to play. But I think I just cashed that. I think I just cashed the $700 satellite out. I didn't try to play in the super satellite. That was the closest I ever came to playing in the PokerStars Caribbean Adventure. Let's see, castles. Because I don't really like playing $700 satellites online. I mean, it's kind of a big investment. You got. I mean, it's like you're a high stakes sit and go. 700 is kind of a steep buy-in for a satellite. If I get one of those, I'll just cash it in and play some smaller tournaments or something. Calidus, you played this perfectly, I would say. Although you could have castled queenside. I thought that was kind of interesting. But I'm sort of holding the balance here. Maybe f4 would be a dynamic move. Let's just go for knight c5. At no point in this game have I ever had a chance to like think about being better. I mean, I'm just strictly just trying to hold on. Now maybe like a time will come when he has more pawn weaknesses than me, but it looks to me like it was a little bit weird, this whole ending with the king in the center against g3. Probably not 100% correct. Guys are talking about well, dude, crazy is yeah, crazy is a term that's there's obviously a sliding scale of crazy. Fischer was never committed to a mental institution or anything like that. He was paranoid. Bishop g2. So, do I want to play c6, then b4, let him into d6? I've got to be careful about weakening this square. How did we get on the Fischer crazy thing? I don't really understand why while we're on this topic now, I have called Fischer crazy. He's a little crazy. I mean, but crazy is relative. I mean, I'm crazy too. We can all be labeled crazy in some way. All right, maybe it's time for h6 here. The knight is kind of getting on my nerves on g5. Crazy is relative. Most chess players are crazy to some degree. You guys should have been in Zalakaros. How many relatively crazy behaving chess players at the average chess tournament? What kind of crazy behavior you see? I think that playing chess, I think that sitting in front of a computer all day will probably make you crazy. Playing chess all the time and doing nothing else would probably slowly make you crazy too. That maybe was Fischer's problem, you know. Too much focus on just one thing. It's probably not the healthiest, not the healthiest thing for you mentally, to be fixated on just one thing your entire life. Bishop takes e4. It's good to see professional chess players who have, you know, other interests outside of chess. Bishop takes e4. Yeah, Calidus is still slightly better here. Thinking about rook b8. I mean, this is really... minor detail, but I don't really want to play c6 and weaken my dark squares. I may have to, though. I may end up having to do it. Maybe rook b8. I should just admit that. Maybe I should just admit that I have to play c6. It's probably a draw. It's a slight weakening in my position, but not a big deal. Now White's going to have, at some point, rook d8 mate, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with not playing c6 at some point here. Maybe I can, actually. We have an alternative, okay. Bishop e6, good. I'm hitting his pawn. It's lined up with the other pawn on a2, and we can play rook d7. That should solve our problems along the d file. Calidus, watch the clock, man. So now he's starting to put some pawns on the white squares, which I like. Let's try this. We get him to fix some pawns on the white squares. I have to neutralize the doubled rooks. Now you could play bishop d5 there, Calidus, perhaps. But, ooh, maybe I'm... Ooh, I've got to be very careful here. Man, I missed that. Now I'm in trouble. We're going to lose a pawn. I just totally overlooked it. I don't want to lose the a pawn. I can't afford to lose the a pawn. That would give him a queenside majority. I'm going to give him this one and try to hang on. I can live like down a pawn on the king side, but if I lose a pawn on the queen side, that queenside majority is going to kill me. So we lost the pawn, but we have good chances to draw. Although I don't like my king cut off here. Yeah, we put ourselves in an awkward sort of situation. My king is actually cut off. Now he goes there. That doesn't matter. Okay, it's a technical ending where only white can win. F4. F4. Alright. Not sure this is a good move by me or not. But it should be okay. Naturally. Calidus, we did lose that one time. I think it was the Simul where I lost against Calidus. And King D4. Alright, let's shift over to this side. That's the problem. His majority... Uh-oh. I don't know about this. I don't think I like this. Can I take and check? Where are you going, dude? Okay. I guess it should be a draw. Okay, now he's protecting his pawn, which is fine. Okay, this is a draw now for sure. We just stay on his pawn. There's various ways to draw this, but you just attack him from the side. Yeah. Alright, Calidus. Tough game, man. Tough game. Ghost Mind. Oh, you guys are talking about Danny Kopech, yeah. Yeah, I mentioned it the other day. He passed away. I didn't know he was sick. Of course, I'm kind of out of touch here. Move 11, you're actually at his school. Wow. Okay, I didn't realize that. Brooklyn College. He was a little bit... He was a little difficult to work with sometimes, but I liked him. We did some commentary sometimes on ICC together years ago. Ghostman, we're transposing to a King's Indian, I guess. You couldn't gobble the pawns and win. Wasn't Rook C3 losing for white? Whoa, I don't know. Was it? Oh, I'm crazy. You guys, I could have won. I was in draw mode. I didn't even think about it. Of course, I could just trade rooks and walk in and win the pawn. Oh my god. That's what happens when you just you're like, I'm gonna draw, and you just put your mind in draw mode. I never even considered the fact that I could actually win in that position. That's crazy. But that's good that you guys are being alert. Yeah. This is actually a pretty good King's Indian for black. C5, totally totally viable type of defensive setup. Transposed to a sort of Korchnoi variation for white. Yeah, you guys be alert, and there's always a possibility you can win. It's a good lesson to be learned from that game. It's very tempting to sack a piece here against Ghost Mind with knight takes c5. I like to play these kind of positions with the two connected passed pawns. So oftentimes in the King's Indian I'll go for this. But I think that we can try to find the optimal way to sacrifice a piece here. When you think only your opponent can win, you're playing against non-masters. Yeah, that's amazing. So he just let me have a winning king and pawn ending. He had the same mentality, like I can't lose this position, so I can do whatever I want. Alright, so now Ghost Mind took on b4. That's interesting. Normally they'll play b6 here. So he gives up that pawn, and now it's harder for me to make direct progress with some kind of piece sacrifice on c5. I like my knight supporting the c5. So I'm going to take with a rook here. Guitar player, bro, your challenge dropped. Not sure where you were either. You're there in 3rd place, and I think that's fine. Nikita 757, your challenge is really, really long. Nikita, I think, hasn't been here on the stream before, but Nikita, you need to re-challenge me to something like 8 minutes with a 3-second increment is the longest I'm going to play. You guys see how Harry Max, guitar player, Andrea Jimmy should challenge me to 8-3 as well. Resignanian, 8-3. I sort of set the limit at 3-second increments for those long games. So if you guys would... The 8-3, 8-4, I might let it slide because it's not a big deal. But you guys challenging me to 10-8 or 8-5, try to change the challenge to 8-3 at the longest. Because 8-10 is ridiculous. That would take like 40 minutes. Seriously, it takes half an hour to play a 10-8 game or something like that. So b6, a4. Yeah, 8-3 is the max that we normally allow here. Now, we're playing for a5. Not 8-5, a5. How do I get in a5? We just get it in and don't worry about it. We'll just get it in. You can have a pawn. We're just going to get this in. Maybe we should just go for the a7 pawn to gain a tempo and then play c5. So what we're trying to do is create a powerful passed pawn here. We're giving black a pawn, but he didn't want it. Okay, well, principal move, I guess. He doesn't want it. But he's going to have problems defending this pawn, I think. It's pretty easy to pile up pressure on b6. It was gone when you accepted Ghost Challenge. You were probably like 5th. Well, anyway, you're well up in the list there, guitar player, so you're in good shape. Ion Astana 7-0. Ion Astana, we've got to have an increment, dude. I'm surprised lately how many new we constantly have like new players here. Queen b3. This pawn is going to be impossible to defend. Well, actually, I have c5. I could have played c5 right away. That might have been a strong answer, but queen b3 is fine. Guys, we got a ridiculous amount of challenges. Any kind of loaded Lux also, you got to include an increment because I'm commentating on the games. Some kind of challenge between 5 and 8 minutes with an increment is ideal. I don't want to play sudden death 7-0 or something like that. Now c5 allows knight a6, so I probably have to chop this guy right away on b6. I didn't really want to give up my dark squared bishop, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And I could have played c5 the move prior. So we're still aiming for c5. The most I've ever seen at once. Harry Max, guitar player, Epithetos, Resignanian, I'll let the 4-second increment slide. Lonely Wolf now with the 4-second increment. Neverness, why are you guys doing these increments that I never usually let? Okay, 7-4. We'll let it slide. 7-5. Okay. Ion Astana. Okay, whatever, dude. Do what you want, man. Trust in my suicide. We'll let the 7-5 slide, guys. But it really, if you're going to play that long time control, you only need like 3 seconds. We don't need the longer increments, but it's okay. We'll let it slide. But if you're going to go up to 8 minutes, then generally we do the 3-second increment. We don't need like 5-second increment. We have that much starting time. So rook takes b6. I should just post it. I'm going to just post it in the Twitch stream. I didn't realize that actually I should have done this a long time ago. I will post the recommended time control in the Twitch info tabs, you know, because how else, you know, would you guys know? So, why do I have so many challenges? And then Neubauer challenged me to 45. I don't know what you guys are trying to be funny or something. Neubauer, I'm sorry I called you Neuberger yesterday. You're not like Martin Neubauer, are you? He's Austrian. Rook b8. You should totally accept the 180. I know. I mean, that shouldn't take long to play that. So this is, we got the best of both worlds. We got the 2 connected pass pawns without sacrificing a piece. I would have given up a piece for 2 pawns this strong. Generally speaking, when black defends in the King's Indian with a c5 blockade type strategy, this is what you should really be... I've got some kind of allergy, guys. Sorry. You should be aiming for this, finding a way to like sack a piece for 2 connected pawns. It's usually the most efficient way to try to win. We have all sorts of possibilities here. A knight b4 maybe? I can't win a piece straight up, can I? Yes, maybe I can. d6, bishop f7, pawn takes c7, queen takes d3, bishop takes d. Yeah, it looks good. I just take on c7 with tempo on the queen. You call him Burger all the time. Neuberger is fine. Yeah, I try to be funny. But you're not Martin Neubauer, right? 13 challenges. What's up today? Monday was really slow. Then we've got all these players here today. Make a queen. And we've got an extra piece. No, 2. Hard to keep track. Two pieces. 6-3. 14 challenges. Why do I have so many challenges? Harry Max, guitar player. We're never going to get to all these challenges. Epithetos, Resignanian, Neverness, Nikita, Andrea Jimmy, Trust in My Suicide. I would imagine that's about as far as we're going to get in 90 minutes. 90 minutes, 9 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe one more. Loaded Lux. At least the challenges now are in line with the time control that we normally play. But I will make a note to myself to post like our preferred time control in the Twitch info tabs. You checked your pawn ending after rook c3. It's still drawn. Wow, Calidus, lucky you. You see, I knew all along, guys. It was. I knew it was a draw all along. That's why I didn't bother. I knew it would just drag out the game, and If I took that winning king and pawn, and it would just been a draw anyway. So I would challenge you, but I don't think hearing your commentary you'd make me crack. I didn't think hearing your commentary would make me crack under pressure. Yeah, it's still playing on. Well, that's a lot of people just never resign. That's their principle. And, okay. If it was a tournament game, I might be irritated about it. This looks like it's gonna be mate. He could take on e4, but we've got something in mind. All right, that ends that. Harry Max. Harry's a good player. Harry, are you FIDE master or not? But he was 2300 FIDE, so he can probably claim the FIDE master title. As I said in the day, you had to have like, I think it was 27 games. I don't remember now. You had to have like 27 games over 2300 continuously to claim FIDE master. Then they did away with that because FIDE just wants to make money. So it's much easier nowadays to become a FIDE master. But if you meet somebody who was a FIDE master like before the year 2000, they're probably stronger than a modern FIDE master, because there's a lot of players now who are weak players, in my opinion, who just like had a few lucky tournaments and they go over 2300, but then they go back to their normal 2200 rating. I mean, people's ratings are going to fluctuate, like probably within 100 points. So the average 2200 is going to like go up to 2300 and down to like 2100. So now it's like everybody can be a FIDE master. But Harry Max is 2300 FIDE, which is really pretty strong. It's not easy today. Harry Max said he just got 2300 this month. My situation was very difficult. I earned like 27 games in 1993 with my first in my first or second rating period, and I should have gotten the FIDE master title, but the USCF didn't apply for it. In those days, like, you had to request them to apply for it, and I didn't know that. And then I didn't get the FIDE master title, and then my rating went back down under, and then I couldn't. It took me another like 2 or 3 years to get back over 2300 for 27 games or whatever it was. So it took me a while to get FIDE master, till 95. It was like 2 years later when I finally managed to do it. Yeah, so titles are just about money nowadays. Not just money, but more about money than they should be. The World Chess Federation just looking for every excuse they can find. Grandmaster International Master Norms, you used to have a round-robin result, or maybe 2 round-robin results, not just open tournaments. And now you don't. It's much easier to make norms in Swiss systems. So, I mean, there's so many more of those kind of tournaments. So it's much easier to get IM and GM titles than it used to be too. It's good for some people that can't travel all over the world in search of titles, I guess. Anyway, back to the game. Harry Max here. Yeah, the Stonewall Dutch is really tough. Really tough. This is the modern setup with Bishop B7, and I have to admit that it's really difficult to play against. In the old days, everybody played like the Botvinnik type of plan with like Bishop D7, Bishop E8, Bishop H5, or maybe even like Queen E8, Queen H5. But the modern moves on modern books on the Dutch have shown that this plan with Bishop B7 is absolutely more flexible for black. It's not really in the spirit of the old Stonewall Dutch. but practically speaking, it's probably better. So what are we going to do here? I don't know what the plan is. I really don't. I mean, 95 looks okay, actually. So it sort of puts pressure on c6. The piece can revolve back to d3. This is probably a pretty typical position. But it's maybe just a waste of time. Maybe 95 is just a waste of time, actually. Objectively. Well, we bring the other one to f3 and support that if he challenges it. My queen is on c2. I'm not sure if that's even a good move. You know, like it was normal against the Dutch. Again, against the classical plans. Again, where black does bishop d7, bishop e8, or whatever. They played a5 here, which is not a bad move. It's hard to do anything. It really is. Very hard to do anything. Knight d3. Let's just do this and give ourselves some options. Maybe c5 at some point. Could be disruptive. Two questions. Have you already made the stream with your over-the-board game analysis? No. Second question. Do you think you could make one stream where the chat chooses your opening? Oh, man. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Scheveningen. Knight a6 looks like a good move. So, Harry Max, stopping c5. I think that's a cool idea. Thanks for the suggestion, Scheveningen. I think we'll try to do that one time. Opening requests session. Cool idea. I like it. Alright. I'm not really liking my queen on c2, to be honest. Alright. This looks like Magnus Carlsen or something. I feel like I'm playing Magnus. I think he's played this. We had this discussion before a couple weeks ago. Somebody else played this against me. You try to learn the Stonewall. Can I talk more about it this game? What? Can I talk a bit more about this game? I wish I knew more. Neubauer. I really don't know what to talk about. I mean, it just seems like it's very difficult for white to do anything against this system. I don't really understand, like, what exactly white can do, to be honest. It feels like somewhat unfair that black can make all these pawn moves and there doesn't seem to be any price to pay for that. A rook c8, completely logical. And I was really hoping to get in c5 somehow, but he's got it overprotected. And I don't see what I can do here. I could take on d5, maybe. Maybe the safest thing to do. If I take on d5 at some point, maybe first rook fc1. I don't know. Take on d5 at some point. Maybe it's too late now. The problem is he's got me tied down to a3. I can't move that rook. And the alternative to rook c1 was taking on d5, cd, and then some passive move for me. Now it looks like we have some problems. If I take on d5, he can take on d4. I have to move my queen, and then he plays like e5 when I'm getting like overrun. So I simply have to take on c5 here. Not sure which way he wants to take back, with knight or with a pawn. I'm just trying to keep a solid position. Takes with the knight. It's logical. I mean, the knight is badly placed on a6. So now, for our next trick, what do? Take on c5. maybe the safest bet. But I don't feel I have anything here at all. I guess I could have played b4. Maybe, but it's a little bit risky. Then he could play knight e4. Now he's bearing down on f2. It almost looks like black is clearly better here. It's amazing, this opening. I mean, it just doesn't seem fair. You know, he makes all these weaknesses across the board, but it's okay. There's no price to pay at all. He could just make unlimited pawn moves. Yeah, no, I would like to answer your question, Neubauer, but I don't have an answer. You know, I really don't have an answer. I had one game against Victor Varadi like 7 or 8 years ago where I managed to win somehow, but it didn't seem like it had anything to do with the opening, honestly. So I'm just tied down to a3 constantly. I feel like black is slightly better. Now he played rook d8. Maybe I should borrow a page from his book and play rook d1. If I ever take on d5, he has bishop takes e3, detonating my position. I'm like paralyzed. Bishop e5 or something, he takes on a3, can never take. Bishop d4. He has bishop takes a3, bishop takes b6, bishop takes c1. That's interesting. Bishop d4. Neutralizing his bishop. Bishop takes a3, bishop takes b6. Bishop takes c1, bishop takes d8. Maybe this is playable. He just takes and takes. No, I can't. He just takes and takes on c4. That's terrible for me. So I'm running out of time. And I don't really have a great plan. I guess knight f3, for lack of a better move. Yeah, get Nikita in next. Tired of seeing him in chat. You talk, please select me next. I was supposed to go, but got bumped down. But he might be correct. I'm not sure, though. I don't know, you know, exactly where you got bumped down. It's very hard to keep track. I agree that that's possible, that you got bumped down, but you're not very far down on the list. Guys, don't criticize each other, please. So be very careful here. Whew, man, this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm just getting in nasty trouble. Black very active here. Guitar player, is it ahead of you? Is Nikita ahead of you on the list? Now b5, I was afraid of bishop e4. b5 is probably good too. How about like rook d1 here? Just coming up with random moves. Try to trade some pieces if I can. I guess this is not that clear. Looks like I'm probably toast. Rook d1, probably not a great answer there. He'd have had to change their challenge. Rook takes d1. No, I just lost the pawn for nothing. This is a rated game too. Great. I have no answer for this opening at all. Let's try to blockade. You guys don't fight amongst yourself in the stream, please. If you want to fight on your own personal time, I'm sure there's plenty of places you can do that. Trying to concentrate on playing here. It's hard enough to do that without... oh, he insulted me on the stream. It's not a kindergarten. Alright, bishop c3. Bishop takes a5. If c3, I have queen. Actually, I don't know what I have there. Knight d4, I guess. Trying to blockade with a knight. We still have a minute left. Black is just clear pawn up. Now rook b2. Looks pretty brutal. Well, I might as well just like give black the exchange here. This is lost. I mean, it's just lost. So, whatever. I had no chance in this game at all. Don't ask me what to do against the Stonewall Dutch. I don't have any answer. Another good move. I can't lose much more brutally than this. Knight c5. I thought you were going to go to g5. I guess it's all good. Yeah. All right. Oh well. Nice game. I think we lost Nikita again, if I'm not mistaken. Your challenge Neverness got disconnected again. Yeah, guys, all sorts of challenges today. I'm going to try to get to as many as I can. But, stay on the page. Just want to see my challenges. Yo, Epithetos, Lonely Wolf, Andrea, Jimmy, Trust in My Suicide. Neverness dropped. Yeah, I think you were like third Neverness after Lonely Wolf, or around Lonely Wolf. I'll do the best I can. What did we learn the last game? We learned that I don't know what I'm doing against that variation is what we learned. I felt a little bit distracted, honestly. Knight f6 is a risky line. It's playable though. It's playable. Black's really... I think there's some exchange sacrifice you have to do or something like that. Nikita got skipped 4 times. So... what did we learn last time? We learned that we don't know what we're doing against b6 in the Stonewall Dutch. We also learned something we already knew, that it's not good to play queen c2 because the queen ends up just getting attacked along the c-file. I already knew that, but I don't know. I just wasn't really like being as intense as I should have been. And I wasn't thinking about how strong Harry Max is. He's too strong a player not to take very seriously, and I kind of went on sleepwalking mode in the first 10 moves there. But Queen C2 was not a good move. It's sometimes okay in the normal plans of the Stonewall Dutch, but I think that's what we can really take away from it. Who was it that asked that question? Anyway, that's the most important thing. Queen C2 is bad, and we still need to work on that. And that whole variation. I'm going to just play the dragon here. Excuse me. So, we lost 19 rating points. It seems kind of steep. We lost 19 rating points in one game. It feels a little steep. That's like, okay, let's see. What percentage of our rating? I mean, that's almost like 1% of our rating. Doesn't that seem kind of brutal? That's like 0.9% of our rating or something for one game. Bishop g7. Guitar player is a big believer in pieces. He just develops the pieces. Guitar player, did you learn chess by playing with computers? Because I noticed you don't make a lot of pawn moves. And I think a lot of modern players who... Nikita was next. Nikita's not in the list anymore. That's the problem there, guitar player. So don't worry about that. Nikita said they were going to bed and they didn't want to play. Now there's a pawn move. Okay, prophylactic move, keeping me tied up. And I normally don't really know what to do. This kind of situation is sometimes awkward, but I like the way that White played this. I would never play this with White, but if I had to, I guess I would play something like this. You won't find this in any books, what White's doing in this game. Queen takes d4, queen d1. But it makes some sense. It's not that easy for black to play against it. Not bishop e2. This isn't the greatest square, though. I think maybe all the way back to bishop f1. Possibly taking, or bishop a4, bishop c4. I don't like e2 and I don't like d3 for that bishop. Any other move seems playable to me. Alexia says, okay, I slept for 2 hours. Now I'm up. I'll go back to sleep again soon. You think the bishop c1 belongs on f4 in the Stonewall? Okay, guitar player, I'm going to give you this take back, dude, but this is the last weird take back. Okay. You prefer that square. I agree. It was probably a mouse slip. I've got pressure on e4, which makes it hard for white to play knight to d5, which would be a normal kind of clamp down move. It's also hard for black to do anything here. I wonder, and b5 a4 might be counterplay, a good way for white to get counterplay. b5 a4, and my a6 pawn starts to look a little bit suspicious there. So I'm not really quite sure what to do here. Bishop e3. Okay, this move is sort of universal. Rook e8, protecting e7. Seems about equal. Feels like black should be better when white made so many silly moves, but it seems to me that white can get away with a lot of time wasting moves. Bishop e2, bishop e3. I still don't have anything concrete that I can do. It looks like he has knight d5 there, maybe last move as well. So that would have probably been equal. Kind of hard to come up with a plan here. Knight a5, knight c4. I don't know what else to do. We might have an exchange sacrifice at some point. Yeah, I don't know why there's so many players online today, more than usual. There's another rook move. I have to be careful now. I guess bishop e6, e5 starts to look dangerous. Knight c4, bishop takes, rook takes, e5. Looks like tactics in every variation are good for him here. I can sack an exchange. Fast and boring shall win the game. But he's got time to type comments too, which is more than I do. The game's too tough for me to do that. Maybe bishop c6 loses a piece. I have to be very careful here. Knight c4 isn't good. I better go back. Knight c4 is bad. Maybe queen c7. Black has to be extremely careful of tactics here. Deceptive position. It looks very good, like white's doing nothing, but he has a lot of tricky tactics all the time. So last game, Gary Hertz said about bishop f4 in a stonewall. Well, bishop f4 is one of the main variations. There's a argument for bishop f4 or b3. I can also play a4. Korchnoi played a4 after b3, bishop, not bishop b2. But I know I need to do more research in that. This position feels very problematic for black. I have to just keep up with him. It's hard for me to move as fast as a guitar player. Because my position is, I think, difficult. Very difficult. He's 1999. 1700 in blitz. 1800 in bullet. I would think, you know, there's a lot of variations that we don't have time to talk about here where black could be in a lot of trouble. And I'm just avoiding danger. Like I played knight a5 to play knight c4, then I had to go back because he has some serious threats. And again, he could take on e6. I wouldn't mind that actually so much. Maybe we'll let him do that. Except for bishop c4. Well, maybe this isn't so great. Hard for me to keep up with him. I don't think white has made any mistakes in this game. These look like neutral moves. They are. But he doesn't commit to anything. He doesn't create any fatal weaknesses. He just moves fast. The speed you play guitar, but I feel like, whoops, I feel like you should be stronger in blitz and bullet. Now maybe you're starting to drift now. I thought that position you had bishop c4, but maybe not. Maybe it was nothing. I would just play e5. Yeah, maybe you didn't really have a good move there. So e5. We start to focus on the dark squares. Actually, maybe I just blundered. Well, it was double edged. I could have checked and taken on b2. Then he has rook b1 and rook takes b7. So he's drifting into a situation where maybe it's good knight versus bad bishop here. Now I can check and take on b2 again. Actually, it looks pretty good. Check, take on b2. Yeah. I think we've got this. Now we've got this. There's a lot of hanging pieces along the C file. We also have the key idea of knight a5, which probably kills rook takes b7. Bishop e6. I didn't see that. I hope it's not fatal. I don't think so. Got rook c7. a6 is controlled, or rather b5. Yeah, I'm just trying to spend all my time concentrating on the game. I thought it was very difficult position. I don't like playing knight a5 and back to c6, but every time I turn around, he had some kind of trick based on e5, and it was very hard to get any counterplay here in this position with black. I mean, it looks like a beginner system for white, but now he's starting to trap my queen, but it's not going to work. It looks like a beginner's game for white at first, but then you start seeing that every step you make, you can like walk into some kind of devastating trap. If I made any kind of like knight c4 active move, I would have probably lost to e5 for white. So it was really dangerous. Neverness, I think you'd be like maybe after Epithetos, so the second game. I'm just estimating. I'm not really sure, guys. Just I do my best to try to keep the challenges in my mind where they were. Epithetos. Oh, we had a King's Indian yesterday. Let's mix it up. But actually, the move order that you're using is kind of annoying. You're not playing c4. That's awkward to play against. If you play c4, it would be more standard. Yeah, here, well, it doesn't really matter. I can play c5. Sometimes I do this. Something different. It could be a Benoni or a Benko. Took my 2000 rating. Was that rated? I wasn't even paying attention. Was that a rated game, guys? I didn't notice. I was crying about the 19 points I lost to Harry. Got crushed by the Dutch Stonewall. Actually, it's not news to me because against Harry, I know that I have a problem in that line. So c3, this is very awkward to play against the c3, man. It's like a reversed Grunfeld, reversed closed Grunfeld. I don't play the Grunfeld, so I can't play c takes d without transposing to a Grunfeld. Queen c7, no time for b6. d6 is okay, but it's like passive. Queen b6 or queen c7, I guess, would be the right move here. Like some breakfast? What's the advantage for white to delay c4? Well, there's no advantage. He said no advantage. Just there's a lot of weird lines white can play. Like Romanician does a4. If you guys check out the database, you see a lot of... If black does d5, a4, for example. In the past, I played d5, I think, against c3. Now white played d5 here, but it doesn't seem right, you know. His pawns are, like, disconnected. So, it doesn't seem like a consistent pawn structure for white. Not like there's anything I can do. And I admit my queen is a little bit weird on b6. But this isn't really very consistent with c3. So, whatever happens here, black should be okay. Melarak 9 says he'd like to apologize. Well, I would like you know, to let bygones be bygones. But we'll see what happens. Knight on b to d2. Looking for c4, but yeah, a6. a6 is always an awkward square because you can play like e4, rook e1, and sometimes bishop f1. My queen, sorry about that. My queen can be attacked on a6, so I guess I'd like to grab this pawn. We should mention that. The problem is I have to play queen c6 to protect it, which is pretty awkward. If I play knight takes d5, knight c4, queen c6, I'm really asking for trouble. Although, maybe we have to seriously consider this. Knight takes d5, knight c4, queen c6, knight a5, queen a6, knight takes d5, knight c4, queen c6. I guess the idea would be to play e6. It just looks dangerous. I'm sorry that you're too stupid to understand. Oh man. So ill. And I report the guy to Twitch too, so hopefully they'll do something with his ISP. I don't know if they can, but I reported him all of his accounts. Alright, knight takes d5. I wonder if that's Nationalist Socialist, the same guy who was Nationalist Socialist. Knight takes d5, knight c4. Yeah, this is too risky. I shouldn't waste time with this. Can somebody like take Melarak 10, Melarak 11, Melarak 12? So we don't have to worry about it. Alright, so Epithetos now plays c4. Okay. We could go Benko here. I'm not sure that's really best. Takes a6. Oh, that's playable. Let's try something. He's our troll, our resident troll. Do we go for this knight takes d5 here? Is it dangerous to do that? I think it's got to be okay now. Guitar Player Bray said, for a second the computer said 69 cent upon loss and I got excited. It wasn't done analyzing. Excited? Why would you be excited about 69 cent upon loss? Or is that a stupid question? Uh-oh, it looks like Epithetos is gone psychotic here. What exactly are you doing with knight g5? Oh, okay. Okay. He plays to win on time. We had a kind of scary game with him yesterday, too. I'm just going to take that off. Oh, he's a bullet player. I forgot. Alright. If we must engage in this. I've been known to play a little bit of blitz. But just sometimes. Bishop takes f5. It's okay. Queen takes f5. That's fine too. Yeah, time management. We got an increment here, man. I mean, never gonna beat me here. All right. So Neverness is gone now. After I like waited. Neverness, are you with us still? Melarak, I don't know what your problem is, dude, but in the next moment after you apologize, you sent a racist comment. You know, you're not, and you insulted me at the same time. So it's kind of insane, dude. It's really, you need to see a doctor, dude, about your mental health. I would seriously recommend it. He actually insulted me the very next sentence after saying he apologized, and then he wonders why he's banned from the room. It's just unbelievable. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for the guy. I mean, he's obviously really sick. Every time sending psychotic chat into the Twitch stream. Losing all this stuff. Alright, guys. So we lost Neverness. There he's back again. Let's play Neverness now. The trolls don't bother me. It's just, it's an annoyance, you know. Obviously, I don't care what the guy makes 100 accounts, but it's an annoyance and a distraction from concentrating on the game. So I had just a tiny sparkle of hope that he was like really sorry, but it's like a joke, really. Okay, this is a variation I've seen very much. Bishop d3. Not really considered to be theory. But I'm not crazy, right? I mean, he turned around and insulted me the next. But it's not, I'm not considering him mentally ill because he's racist, Malamood dude. He's both. You know, he's concretely both. They're different things. I'm not labeling him mentally ill because he's a racist. They're different, concretely different things. But this guy is both. That's the internet for you. Why I don't have a moderator here? I don't know. Would you like to volunteer, Lonely Wolf? Because I haven't had any volunteers. Bishop e3. And, I mean, automated bots are not going to cut it. Knight takes c6, knight takes e3, knight takes d8, knight takes d1. Or just take back on c6. Autobots. It brings back some memories. I was a little too old for Autobots, but I do recall it. B takes c6, bishop d4, e5. What's the plan there? If I play knight takes e3, knight takes d8, knight takes d1. Just ban and move on. Rated game alert. Thank you. Joe Sonic, I know it annoys you when we talk about anything, but this guy and the others like him are trying to get attention. I'm just thinking if there's anything other I can do, you know, to prevent it from happening. Probably not, but I will take more steps to report every single one of them to Twitch. Knight takes f7, king takes f7. So we have the bishop pair. I lost a pawn? Wait a minute. How did I lose a pawn? See, that's the problem. I get distracted. Oh well. He has a very bad bishop. We'll have active king in the ending. We should have some compensation, but Neverness is up a pawn. I didn't really count properly. We've had racist people in the stream, but this guy just wants attention, and he's mentally ill. But maybe I can find out. Maybe we can find out who he is on Lichess, so that way we could get him. Hopefully, we could get him banned from Lichess too. Would be nice. Anyway, e6. Put the king on e7. Because it's become kind of personal now. He's attacking me every single day, and I find that I take that as more than just a troll. It's become like a personal troll now. He's like harassing me personally. Most of the trolls sort of stop after a while, but this one is making it personal. So we try to get the bishop pair to work with like long diagonals. Well, Juzonic, I haven't had any volunteers for anyone to be a mod. Guitar Player Breath said they would volunteer. Wow, you're the first one ever to volunteer, Guitar Player. We could use it. G3, bishop b7, or bishop a6. We go for opposite color bishops here, maybe. Opposite color bishops and rooks. It's not really drawish. If I don't do opposite color bishops, though, I could play bishop b7 as well. I mean, I like this move. I don't want to suffer in an opposite color bishop ending. NumQs also offer to be a moderator. I wonder if I should think about, all right, rook c8. Neverness, we've played a whole bunch of games. He's never beaten me. But he's 2200, and that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's a solid rating. We are down a pawn. We have a little bit of compensation. I'm not sure it's enough, though. Doesn't really look like enough. I feel like white has clearly good chances to play for a win here. Newberger, you want to see money? Have an anti-troll squad. So d5. That would just worsen my pawn structure here. I guess there's nothing I can really do. And now I have to even be careful that bishop a6 might even like lose more material. So it's probably too late for that. Wonder if I should consider e5. Stopping him from playing e5 himself. It kind of creates a target on e4 and kills his bishop a little bit. Somehow this just feels right to me. Before this gets out of control. He could play like f4, f5. So I think that e5 gives me reasonable chances. Now he played this f5. Doesn't seem that threatening, actually. Bishop a8. Perhaps. Pawn takes d5. Sorry about that. Rook c5. Rook c7. A lot of candidate moves here. It would be nice to have two connected passed pawns, but I mean, these are not connected passed pawns. If I take on f5, he's got all sorts of stuff. Alright. I'm just going to make a waiting move here and see what he does. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't pay anyone to be a moderator. Maybe down the line we'll be one of the most popular streams on Twitch. Chess streams, at least. But I'd love to pay somebody to be a mod. Believe me, I would. 93 now. Alright. Not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing here. Starting to get more and more frustrated by this position. Bishop h6. Rook c5. With like no counterplay. I could do b5 actually. b5. That's kind of a cool move. Get the minority attack going. Okay, what's that about? He takes on g6. I take back. Shouldn't really change anything. It's not my day. Why is that? He goes for this ops color bishop's ending. Now my b5's hanging, my g6 is hanging, but I have some counterplay to take this guy. Alright, maybe I have to do g5. He does have weaknesses on h2 and b2. It's not that simple. My bishop is kind of buried at the moment. It could come back in the game. Not my day. Soha Chuk said, I used to be the chess master, as the people called me. Is it my day? Now what do I do? Rook b8? Rook b8, right? Well, we're going to get some counterplay now against b2. Hopefully it's enough to save us. We're going to pick up some pawns on the 7th rank. We have a protected passed pawn. It's not the greatest in the world. Yeah, well, I'm going to take with the bishop. Not that my bishop's doing much more on g7 than it is on f8. It's not much better. Not a lot of difference there. I guess I could take with the king, allow a check on f1 and play king e7. But never, it's not my day because I lost to Harry, you mean? Wow, these are tough players. These are master level players. 2200 plus. You have an external microphone? Is it from a laptop or something? No, this is an external microphone. It's much better than a laptop. Some dude you were playing earlier said he was a master, told me I should study opening at a 1950 Lee chess rating. Do you have any thoughts on that? Well, no, 1950 isn't a master. I mean, it could be somebody who, you know, technically maybe in their prime was 2200 or something. Wow, check it out. So, Neverness sacking a piece here. Sacking a piece for an armada of passed pawns. Now, do I need to play rook b8? Rook a8? Probably don't want to let him have the file there. That's a pretty crazy decision to sack a piece. I mean, I don't think he was in any danger of losing. Interesting. I mean, not necessarily bad either. I have to get my bishop back in the game. I don't know. It just feels like it should be about equal, objectively. Pretty extreme decision by Neverness. What if the rooks were off the board? What would be going on then? Rook h8 here. I'm not sure this is a good move or not. Maybe not. I have some interesting ideas though. This position is pretty bizarre. Now there. What do we do now? Try to activate our bishop. That bishop's been hurting us the whole game. Feels like this pawn should be worth a piece, but not more. Maybe it's like equal with optimal play. The pawns should be enough to compensate for his piece down. I'd like to play g4, but then he has rook e4 sometimes. So I'm not really sure what to do here. g4, rook takes. I mean, objectively, this is probably a draw. It sounds funny to like pronounce that, but that's what it feels like to me. He has enough compensation. Although this move, all right, well, okay, this is a safe move. He's kind of bailing out. He could lose like bishop. He could lose bishop and rook versus rook. You know, that's the risk he's taking here. There's a very high percentage chance he's gonna have to play with rook against rook and bishop, where I can try to win. I'm not sure if he can even force that. Although this one, okay, this one actually, I don't know, man. It's a little unrealistic for me to win this position. But I'm gonna play it out with rook against rook and bishop. That's a difficult ending, you know, to hold if you don't know the technique. And he's got an increment, so it's not like I'm just trying to flag him. 5 seconds. To be careful here. 5 seconds should be enough for him to demonstrate a draw. I don't think we've ever had rook and bishop against rook. We should be able to collect his pawns slowly. Now wait a minute here. Like check. Check. We go after this pawn. Should be able to surround it. Maybe rook c5 is better. Yeah. Cuts off his king too. Oh. Okay. Now obviously that would be a draw, but I don't have to let you have that. Now we go try to win the other pawn. See if we can torture him with rook and bishop versus rook. There are some positions where I can't win maybe the last pawn. I mean, he's actually threatening g7. To be careful here. Have to go here now. I get my rook bishop to the long diagonal. I want to go here. Probably a5 might have been better. This is very awkward. He's not letting me get the last pawn. I'll lose my... Man, I lose my guy if I go there. This is perverted. Let's try a check. Really seems like I should be able to win that last pawn, man. With my pieces surround him. I don't know how to make progress here. Not so easy. Might be able to mate his king in some lines. Certainly a difficult position to play with no time on the clock. Check. Check on g5. Keep him contained. Surround the pawn. It's not easy to defend, like, with very little time. It's... Though he kind of walked himself into that corner. Though it is still a draw, with perfect defense, of course. Now, obviously, I wouldn't torch him, but it was a rated game, so I'm not gonna lose any more rating points. All right, guys, we got time for 2 more games. Andrea Jimmy, been waiting, and Billa Lakin. Did we lose any other challenges? Is it even worth working toward the title if you only play our faster time controls? No. I mean, I have to play in, like, real tournaments, man. But I have to make a living by teaching chess lessons, and you know, people give you more credibility the more title you have. So if I become a GM, I have more respect. It's considered valuable, but I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna do it playing blitz. And I talked about this actually when I went to Zalakaros, guys, 2 weeks ago. As much as I play here on the stream and play blitz online, that does not prepare you for serious tournament chess. It is not the same thing, and it's just a completely different game. So if that's at all related to what free trade agreement is saying there, it's a different thing. No, I mean, if I want to become a grandmaster in slow chess, it takes a lot of hard work in studying and playing long tournaments. I'm going to have to find time to play serious tournaments. In addition to doing this online is not preparing me for serious tournaments. You mean for non-title players? What? No, I don't think so. No, it's not really. If all you do is play online, then it's not really a big deal. Tartakover Queen's Gambit declined. You do coaching? Yeah, I mean, since January I've been back to coaching full time. I had taken a kind of hiatus from it for 6 or 7 years. I was doing very little coaching. I had a few students, but not full time. Just here and there in the last several years. But now I'm going back to doing a lot of coaching. So if anybody's interested, send me an email, videochesstrainer@gmail.com. I've only been doing this since January, chess full time, that is, so I have plenty of openings for more students. Castles, it's hard though. I have to juggle, like, trying to improve my own game and also coaching others as well. Although, as I mentioned before, when I reached my peak, or 10 years ago, I was really teaching more than I ever did. So I think that actually coaching is good for your game. You can't see his email, you're on Xbox. No, I just said it out loud. videochesstrainer@gmail.com. So this is a really tough line from Andrea Jimmy. The Tartakover Queen's Gambit. There's this Hungarian player, Fanchi Imre, who's like a 2400 IM. And he won the B tournament at Zalakaros. He's like a 23. He tries to keep his rating under 2400. But he plays this for black. It's really tough. Black takes on c4, and this structure is hard for white, you know, to do anything. There are no pawn breaks. There's no minority attack. All you have is like this very, very tiny development advantage. So I recommend, if you guys want a simple variation against the Queen's Gambit, or for black in the Queen's Gambit, I think the Tartakover is a really good line. And against this Karpov variation that I play with bishop e2, b6, bishop e2, d takes c4, it's not a bad way to play, actually, for black. It's very solid. You're probably never going to win, but, I mean, you will sometimes. But it's really one of black's most solid lines. So now can I play rook d1? Not that it really does anything, but an interesting offer for black to sack the queen for rook and piece. Joe Sonic said he imagines the top 10 players can make a living from chess tournaments. Well, you know, it depends on what your standard of living, what you consider a normal standard of living is. I mean, there are a few, like, American grandmasters who come to mind who made a living from playing, like, Grand Prix tournaments in the U.S. Alexander Shabalov and Alexander Ivanov, for example. Two players who come to mind who played tournaments almost exclusively without really teaching lessons. But it was interesting because in both cases, both those guys are married to women with very good jobs. So it's kind of interesting how that works. Knight to c6. Well, I guess we gotta take back here. You're probably never gonna win. But this variation is a variation where black is really playing for a draw, basically. Zero risk. Fanchi Imre style. Queen c7. Although this has got to be the best square. He gets trapped on b8. Sometimes e8, though here e8's out because of bishop b5. Or maybe not. He could play queen e8 and then bishop c6. e8 is obviously more awkward. Now bishop f4. Bishop f4, queen c6. And he's threatening mate. So this is what I'm talking about, basically. Now, where is my advantage? And I don't even know what I did wrong. He's got queen c6 all the time. Threatening nasty mates, so maybe we have to play bishop a6, kind of neutralize that. I'm going to neutralize the threat. Before this can threaten mate on g2, I don't want to see queen c6 and have to play f3. f3 is really extremely weakening to my pawn structure. I'll play it if I have to, but I don't want to. If you get into a world championship match, you're set, though. I like how somewhere on chessgames.com I saw people were like, I can't believe Karyakin is playing other tournaments before his world championship match with Carlsen. It's like, what do you expect him to do? He's never going to beat Carlsen in that match. He'll probably never play another world championship match in his life. Should he just put his whole chess career on hold to hold his breath for a match he's going to lose like 99% of the time? There's some people who are looking toward it like there's some big matchup between Karyakin and Carlsen, but he's not the second best player in the world. He's a huge long shot, and of course he's going to play all the normal tournaments he would play in. He didn't play the first tournament after the candidates because I think he was just tired, and that was actually a good idea because that was a very draining event for everybody. So the reason I mentioned it, there's a tournament going on in Bilbao. It's going to start, the Bilbao Masters, and so I noticed some people were like, why would Karyakin play? You know, what is he supposed to do, man? He has to make a living, and he's not going to win the world championship. So I don't really see what other options he has but to play in tournaments like Bilbao. Now bishop f4, bishop g3, or do I want to unpin this guy? Actually, he has queen c6. We have a little edge here. Feel like Capablanca. This is very simplified chess with the most minimal of advantages. Well, I mean, Hisset, who's the second best player in the world? It's not clear. It really isn't clear. But it's not Karyakin. Caruana I thought was good. He looks so embarrassingly bad in these rapid tournaments he plays, though. But I guess we shouldn't really hold that against him. Caruana is just not really a good blitz player, apparently. It's a different world than slow chess. But I don't think it's clear. You know, I think Caruana... I mean, it's clear that Carlsen is the best player in the world. Second place is totally up for grabs. Bishop g3. I was thinking a funny variation here, like queen, rook d8, queen d3. Rook takes rook, pawn takes rook. Man, this guy is solid. But we got him to weaken the white squares a little bit. And now, him or her, it's Andrea Jimmy. Andrea Jimmy. Can Andrea be a men's name? Probably not. Okay, so there goes further weakening the white squares in black's position. So I'm happy, and I think we have good chances here. Though I don't know exactly what to do. Rook d5 maybe? And we don't have a whole lot. We don't have a whole lot. Rook d3, rook d5. The problem with rook d5 is that it allows bishop b4. Rook d5, knight takes g3, h takes g3, bishop b4. And I have to watch the back rank here. So rook d3 is the other alternative. And I'm still watching the back rank. I don't know what to do. Rook d5, rook d3. Rook c4 would give up the d file, which I think is pretty important. Rook d3, rook d8. I don't know, what do I have here? Andrea's definitely a girl's name? No, you think it's a man and a woman's name. Yeah, I think in some countries, in some languages, it's a men's name. Although Andreas is very common. So not really sure. But most likely it's a woman and a man sharing the same account. Husband and wife. Andrea Jimmy. So in Italy, Andrea is a man's name. Yeah, this... I suspected it can be both. Alright. H takes G. What is he from? No, he is from Italy, so might answer our question. I just don't feel like I have enough here. We have a tiny, tiny advantage. It's not rated. Guys, we're going to play one more game after this. Do you guys remember who was first in that list? Was Loaded Lux there before the other guys? Loaded Lux, are you here in the stream? German, the male form is Andreas. Wait a minute, this is a pawn here. Andreas is common. Hisset, you're German, right? You would know. Oh no, you're French. Wait. You're French. Well, anyway, you guys know better than me. I'm not a native European. We can take the pawn or we can just keep the file under control. Rook Rook takes pawn, bishop f6. Actually, is he winning the pawn back just straight away there? It looks like a trap. It's a trap. So rook takes e5, bishop f6. We're concentrating on the white squares. We also have hiding square for our king on h2. I don't really want to resort to that, but if I have to, I don't get mated. This pawn is hanging now for sure. There's no name out there that's always a guy's name or always a chick's name. Yeah, well, people name themselves whatever they want now. It's not like, hi, my name is Embassy. All right. Bishop f6. I kind of like g4, g3 if I have time here. Well, we're looking for counterplay. He's looking for counterplay with that. Maybe I'll go e4. It looks like a good Sicilian. We've got the d5 square. And now we increase. Maybe we go to the 7th rank here. Probably wouldn't hurt, right? Well, anyway. I want to play g4, g3. I don't care about trading rooks too much. Maybe I should. Maybe I should, but I don't. Yeah, he's got that check and take on b2. Okay, so now it's endgame city. I really didn't want to trade queens, but I'm not sure I can avoid it at this point. How do we want to do this? Trade in knight d8. Trade in knight d5, I guess. Oh man, I don't know if this is a win or not. It looks like one of those. Speaking of Capablanca, Capablanca draws with black, kind of things. b4, king f1. Now a5, that might be the fatal move. I mean, that might be a fatal move for black. You don't need to play a5. That's not necessary to put another pawn on dark squares. Maybe it's still holding off for black, but a5 looks like a bad idea. You didn't need to put another pawn on the wrong color. f4. f4, take, g6. No, I'm not going to take a draw here. Playing for a win. b4 maybe. Actually, I'm not sure the b4 is really a good move. Objectively, it probably doesn't change that much. Only white can win this position. Guys, we're going to try to get in one more game after this. Even if I'm a little over time. Yeah, Capablanca. Good comment, his Hitnos. Maybe I should have played king b5 there. Still not too late. Wheedle our way in. It looks kind of nasty. King b5. That's why a5 was really maybe going over the precipice. Knight c6 is also strong, with the idea of knight a8 and knight takes b6. There was an interesting try there. H5? No, F5. I mean F5 at that point. F5. G takes F, H5, H4, creating a passed pawn. Thought that's a real try for black. Now it's hopeless. But guys, we're gonna play one more game. Offers a draw. Sometimes I do that when I'm trying to resign. I click the wrong button. I don't know, guys. I'm gonna take the last game against Bilalaki knows Ado. I can't play that time control. So Lexia's too fast. Loaded Lux. That'll be the last game. The other guys had the wrong time controls. 3-5 and 8-0. We can't play that. Anyway, I wasn't sure that maybe Loaded Lux had challenged first anyway. I played knight f3. Whoops. Well, let's play d4. Can always play d4. But did he have f5 there at the end? Double pawns aren't always bad. Well, I got beaten pretty badly one game today. Loaded Lux. There's a guy named Lux. There was an American tournament player, an amateur named Lux. An older player. Knight f3, fun move. I don't feel like I get enough space when I don't play d4. The queen a5 check. The variation is like c4, d4, d5, c4, c5. That's the line, and then you take there. This is some kind of crazy gambit. But I guess could be dangerous. Queen on a5. Looks a little suspicious. Yeah, I guess we play it straightforward. He has bishop c5. Is this going to be an issue? If I play like e4? Could be an issue. I have to be careful here. We've got time, 7 minutes. Kind of a long game. We're going to let the stream go over time a little bit here. God, at least the trolls have stopped. E6. We could take. Takes, bishop takes. Maybe takes, bishop takes, e3, and we transpose to some kind of Hennig-Shara gambit. With the queen's out on a5. Takes, bishop takes, e3, knight c6, queen d3. Ooh, that looks kind of dangerous. And e4, bishop c5. Hat. e4, bishop c5, queen d2. Actually, I'm not really convinced by this, I guess. I didn't consider d6. It just looks kind of like loose and weakening. So if I make a normal move like queen d1, I'm probably in trouble with knight g4. But the idea was this, queen d2. But I guess this is unclear. I have knight d4 at some points. So I'm not even sure like which square I should actually go to. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe queen d3 is actually the best square. Yeah. So I was wrong on both counts. Even queen c4 is interesting. But probably queen d3. This is just an important resource to play queen b5 check. At first I thought I could play queen d2, knight g4, knight d1. But then black can at least force a draw with bishop b4. So Not really a good line, where my best possible result is a draw. Although I could play queen d2, knight g4, knight d4. It looks a little weird. I can honestly say I've never played this position before. Many similar gambits I've played, but normally after queen takes d4, black plays queen takes d5, and then knight c3, queen takes d4, knight takes d4, when white has a small but kind of persistent advantage. This I've never seen before. Queen a5, knight c3 is more or less forced, and then e6. And here I could consider taking on e6, but it seems to help black's development. So I mean, it seems like I did the most logical thing. e4, bishop c5, queen d3. There is some weakness on f2. But if he doesn't do anything, I'm going to just develop. And here, I have no time for h3, I guess. I have to play bishop e2. He stopped queen b5. Okay, but now we have time to castle. And we're holding on to our extra pawn. So, looks like our house is in order. Doubtful. This queen on a5 looks really misplaced now. Did I ever play the Evans Gambit or the English? Well, the English is the opening that I've been playing like pretty exclusively for the last 3 months or so. It's funny that you joined our stream now that I started switching back to playing d4. But yeah, the English a lot. The Evans Gambit, I don't play e4 that much, and when I do play e4, I play the Lopez with white. But I would imagine the Evans Gambit is an interesting opening to explore, now that the Roy Lopez seems to be kind of like difficult to do anything with. Maybe it's time for the Evans Gambit to make a... I said this once before. Maybe it's time for things like the Evans Gambit to make a return. Okay, rook d8. Well, lots of good moves for white here, I guess. Bishop g5 looks tempting. Just trying to primitively like win material with e5. But it also develops a piece. So it's hard to argue against bishop g5. Guys, last game for today. Check out my videos on YouTube. My channel there is Video Chess Training. I promise by tomorrow I'll have the weekly video uploaded. Yesterday I couldn't record a video because there was this horrendous hailstorm and rain like for a few hours in the middle of the day. When I normally do my audio recordings, it sounded like a hurricane. Bishop g5, it's threatening the very subtle e5. Black doesn't really have any compensation for the sacrificed pawn. He has problems with development on the queen side. So, struggling for something to do here. Evans Gambit, yeah, I would think things like the Evans Gambit, the Scotch, the Joko piano. We've seen a little bit. We did see some players starting to play the Joko piano with white at the candidates tournament. The problem with the Lopez is the Berlin defense and the Marshall. Maybe the Marshall isn't such a big problem because there white can play, you know, like Kasparov, some kind of A4 anti-Marshall. Although there's a lot of worked out theory there, white can still have a little bit of fun. But the Berlin defense is the problem when you play the Lopez. Right now, I don't know, we want to take with the knight. Knight is interesting. Knight takes d5. looks like simple move, kind of lower maintenance than pawn takes. Their pawn takes kind of blockade my passed pawn, and maybe I'm not threatening anything, but here I'm threatening to take on f6, so I kind of keep the initiative. And I have some interesting little tricks with b4 at some point. I'm not sure it does anything immediately, but maybe at some point b4 will be a factor. Queen on a5 is misplaced. e5, yeah, it's very subtle, but now it's not really a threat because he has rook takes d5. So, although if it plays knight bd7, maybe e5. I'm not sure. That'd be awkward, like knight d7, e5, knight takes e5. Can he do that? Knight takes e5, knight takes e5, rook takes d5. Maybe. And whenever I take on f6 with check, his queen is protecting that guy on d8. Obviously this has got to be... He might even get his queen trapped with bishop d2. He has queen b5 sometimes. Maybe that will be my threat. Bishop d2. But this opening didn't work out properly for black. I think that it's questionable, queen a5. Now knight e8. b4, rook takes d5. I just take, I guess. Could play b4. A lot of good moves for white here. b4, bishop takes d8. And what about bishop d2 again? Ooh, bishop d2. That's also interesting. b4, bishop takes. Yeah, he can't even take. Probably has to do rook takes d5. I guess that doesn't really help me then. In that case, I might as well just take. b4, rook takes d5. Queen takes d5. No, b4, rook takes d5, pawn takes a5, bishop, rook takes d3, bishop takes d3. I'm just up in exchange there. How about bishop d2? He's always sacrificing in exchange. Doesn't really matter. It looks like in almost every line he has to give up in exchange. No sense giving him a pawn for it. Although taking on d8 is fine. I can do that. It's just a clear exchange up. I guess I'm being a little bit fancy here. There's the exchange sack. But now he's double attacked. So he has to be a little bit careful where he goes. And now this is hanging. And this is hanging. Knight e5 doesn't cut it because of bishop e6. Knight g5 though. Knight g5. How about rook c1 and then knight g5? It's pretty much only one move. Maybe this. only move. I could play b4. Maybe win 2 pieces for a rook. Looks pretty gruesome. I'm up a lot of material. But I don't know. Maybe it was simpler to go knight g5. It's so hard to decide. Bishop takes f2 though. Not really good. Well, maybe he has something here. Wow. Well, he's just going to end up... Well, why not trade queens and play knight takes e4 there? What was going on there? Take, knight takes e4? Oh, I'm just up a piece, right? Yeah, okay. Never mind. A piece is enough. Alright, good game, man. Thank you. Bishop takes d8. Yeah, it was fine, Newberger. That was fine. I just wanted to be a little bit fancy. It probably amounted to the same amount of material gain. I thought it was just a little trickier the way I did it. Anyway, guys, check out my videos on YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday, 10 a.m. CET. And thank you for joining me here. Good luck, guys. Bye-bye.